Hey, Kai here from Family Wheels with another car review for your growing family, and this is the 2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. It's quite a compact SUV crossover with a lot of competitors in this segment of the market, but is this the right car for you and your growing family? We're going to run it through the famous Family Wheels standardized tests and help you make that decision. It's the 2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross this week on Family Wheels. Okay, the 2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross might as well be the 2020 as well. There's some minimal changes expected, except for some extra technology in the engine with some variable valve timing. I'll get to the engine in just a second. But also in Canada, base price in 2020 is going to be a couple of $100 more expensive, and in the States it's going to be a couple of $100 cheaper. But this being a compact crossover SUV, it is in a part of the market that is so competitive, and you're up against some big hitters as well. You're up against the Honda CR-V, the Toyota RAV4, the Mazda CX-5, so some legendary cars there to go up against, and we're going to make some comparisons to those coming up throughout this review as well. But this car starts in the States at just over $23,000, and it starts at just under $28,000 in Canada, and it is the different trim levels, maybe the highest ones, which could help make this your pick. So in Canada, the top trim level, there's only 3 trim levels by the way, and there's going to be a 4th one in 2020, the limited edition, which is already in the States. But the top trim level here is just under $36,000, and in the States just over $28,000. Now all of its main competitors start at around about the same amount, pretty close, but their top trim levels are often quite a lot more, so that could help you make that decision, especially if you're going for one of the, or if not the highest trim level in the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Under the hood, you have a 1.5 litre turbocharged engine putting out 152 horsepower, which is not very much. And I think it's the least of its closest competitors as well. So that's something to take note of when making a decision. And that is strapped to a continuously variable transmission, a CVT. If you've never experienced one before, first thing you'll notice when you jump in, when you take off, you won't hear the engine go through the gears. It kind of sounds like one big, long, drawn out gear that never ends. And it kind of whines a little bit more. It's a different sound coming from the engine. Some people hate it. Others like, meh, it doesn't matter. It's all up to you and your preference. The Honda CR-V has a CVT as well, so I mean that's a pretty major player in the market that also has a CVT, so that's comparable. So with that in mind, 1.5 litre turbo, 152 horsepower, a CVT. How do the kids like it with the kids pep test? 3, 2, 1, Okay, so they sound impressed, but it's deceptive. Not as impressed as they were for the Acura MDX. Here's a link up here. You can have a look at that review if you want to take a look. Does that 152 horsepower mean excellent fuel economy? Not really, it's not exceptional. So combined, you're getting 25 miles per gallon or 9.3 litres per 100 kilometers combined. Not terrible, but not exceptional either. What the Eclipse Cross does have is super all-wheel control. It is something that Mitsubishi prides itself on. If you don't have the super all-wheel control, by the way, you've got some different options, but the super all-wheel control is controlled by this button on the console just down here. And when you hit it, you have 3 different options. You've got auto, you have snow, and you've got gravel. So based on whatever conditions you might happen to be in, you can make your selection with the super all-wheel control down here. You've also got an eco mode button, which would hopefully give you a little bit better fuel economy. If you've only got all-wheel control and not the super, you've got 3 options as well. You will have just front-wheel drive, you will have 4-wheel drive, and 4-wheel drive lock. Okay, something else that we treasure here at Family Wheels is our famous standardized tests of the rear-facing kids seat, and I've used the world's chunkiest, ridiculously big kids seat. It's the Kleck Flow, and it actually passed. So in the rear-facing position, the passenger had a decent amount of space. I'm 6 foot tall, I couldn't completely stretch out, but there was a decent amount of space there considering that it is a pretty compact SUV, this one. And also, if you don't have the kids seat in there, you've actually got a fair amount of space for a passenger as well. The seats move backward and forward and they recline, so passengers are reasonably comfortable. So the Eclipse passed the rear-facing kids seat test. When I tried to get in the kids seat front-facing, I got absolutely nowhere near fitting in, and it was also presumably ridiculous of me to try. The other famous standardized test we like to do is the trunk test, and it did struggle with the Eclipse Cross. So behind the second row seats there, if you've got the seats all the way back, the rear seats all the way back, the trunk has about 340 litres of space, which is less than a Honda Civic. So that's something you're going to have to think about as well. Now, its closest competitors I was talking about before, they all have significantly more space in the trunk. So our standardized test of a stroller, 2 shopping bags, a camera bag, diaper bag, a soccer ball, it fits, it passed the test, it's all in there, but you don't have a lot of room left over if you're going on a longer trip. And just with their design, so to get a little bit more trunk space, you can see that bar across the back window there, so it's actually a split screen. So they have achieved adding a bit more space in there with that design on the tail end, but it still makes it tighter, and it also means that then you've got the world's smallest windscreen wiper back there. You see that? It's tiny. And it also means that you don't have anything to clear the water off the bottom part of the window, and it also does inhibit your view out the back, having that window split like that. How about the rest of the interior on the Eclipse Cross? And this is something that could help persuade you to purchase something like this. Now, as I said, the top of the line, this one in the States, $28,000, just under $36,000 in Canada, and the interior is pretty well appointed. Nice leather seats, they are electric for the driver, they're just the regular slide back and forth and pull the levers for the passenger. By the way, you've got heated front seats, and rear seats are heated in this one as well. The buttons for the heated seats, I would say, are screaming 2005. They're a little bit old school, but they're there nonetheless. You've also got a heated steering wheel, which only does the sides, just little section here. It doesn't do the top. So if you are someone like me who likes to bang your hand on the top and drive like that, if it's a cold morning, you're going to have to grip on like this to warm your hands up. Center console has a decent amount of space. It's got this little sliding section as well, but it's not too bad. You've also got a tray down here for a little bit of storage. You've got 2 USB ports here and what looks like an old car cigarette lighter that is for your power outlet. Climate control is all using tactile buttons, which I like. A lot of companies like to do tactile, but then double it up into your infotainment system. They haven't done that. It is only down here. You've also got paddle shifts for if you want a little bit of sport mode here. Your gear shift is also Tiptronic, so you can slide that across and bang up and down your gears. The paddle shifts are enormous. Like, they're so long, you can hit them up the top, and if I'm resting my hands at the bottom, I can also access them here, which is silly because I don't think I would ever access them unless you are actually going to maybe do a bunch of hill work or something like that, and you require it to go up the hill or down the hill to hold the gears back. You might use it, but paddle shifts on something like this, a 1.5 litre with a CVT, I can't imagine you're going to use it very much at all. Your park brake is just a button right here. You can pull it up to turn it on and push it down to turn it off. You've also got a head-up display, which makes you feel like a fighter pilot. Head-up display comes on, it's like, hallelujah, hallelujah, and then you're like, yeah. You can also adjust it. You can move it up and down depending on your height. Some people who are really tall have actually complained that it's not high enough, but you can adjust it a little bit there. Head-up display felt really old school. That needs to be updated or just removed, depending on, I don't like head-up displays, but it just looks bad. You can also adjust the height of your headlamps here, which is with this little toggle. You can twist that and it'll raise or lower your headlamps depending on how you like it. Infotainment system was interesting. You've got this touch screen here. So you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. By the way, down here you've got a trackpad, which I'll get to in a second. The trackpad apparently doesn't work with Android Auto, but it does work with Apple CarPlay. So this screen is a touch screen as well. Doesn't have a whole lot, but it's reasonably easy to navigate and it responds reasonably well. You can use the trackpad, which I didn't like. It was pretty tough to navigate through it using the touchpad, but you've also got the same buttons at the bottom of the trackpad that you've got on the sides of the touchscreen here. Interestingly, it doesn't have a volume knob, but there's 3 ways to do it. You've got your volume on the steering wheel, Then you've also got the volume up on the touchscreen, and you can also put the volume up and down using 2 fingers up and down on the trackpad. It was a little bit clunky. I just give me a knob. In terms of sound system, in the base model, you're only getting about a 4-speaker system, but this one, you've got about 7 speakers, and it's really nice. 710 watts from this sound system, including a 10-inch sub in the back. So the sound system is more than adequate in the top of the line. In the driving test, the Eclipse Cross performed reasonably well. I would imagine if you're on highways and you need to do some overtaking of trucks on some single lanes and stuff, you're going to want some more power. Just the way that the gears work and wind out a little bit, you're going to want some more punch. But in and around town, it actually performed pretty well. And you've got a bit more ride height. So if you are in a place where there's like an urban setting, but you're also maybe going to have a bunch of snow, or you're going to have gravel or mud, I think that the ride height can also help you out just that little bit also. So not a bad car for in and around the city. In terms of being an urban car, a crossover that can also tackle a few more demanding situations, the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross performs pretty well on the road. Going for a higher trim level gets you a couple of nice safety features as well. So this one, the GT, it has lane departure warning, forward collision mitigation with pedestrian warning, blind spot warning, and rear cross traffic alert. That can help you out a bunch of nice features in the highest trim level. So there you have it, the 2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Hopefully that review was useful. If it was, give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe to Family Wheels up here so that you can see all of our reviews when they come out every single week, and check out some of our other reviews if you're trying to find a comparison. Until next time, from Family Wheels, I'm Kai.